So yesterday we finally got the classified cutscene, and I know there's a lot of drama surrounding that, but we're not going to be talking about that at all in this video because something that I see is much more interesting, I think is much more worth talking about, and of course that's the storyline part of this outro cutscene. I really feel like it's been put to the side while this drama stuff's been going on, so I kind of want to help bring it back to the forefront because I think that is much more important than all that drama going around that. Of course the drama is important in its own way, but I'm just saying for me personally, I like the storyline. I think the storyline part of this is much more important. But anyways, what we're actually going to be talking about is Richtofen, and obviously we're not going to be talking about Ultimus Richtofen, but we're going to be talking about Primus Richtofen because for some reason he's in this classified outro, and that doesn't normally sound like a problem, but then you have to remember he kind of died in the Blood of the Dead outro, so how is he now in this classified outro? I mean, it's a pretty big problem for a lot of people, but of course there's a couple explanations going around. That's what we're going to be talking about. In fact, we're going to be talking about 4 different explanations that people have for why, or I guess really not explanations, but 4 different theories for why people are saying that he is now alive in this outro cutscene to Classified, even though he just died in the outro to Blood of the Dead. And we're going to be talking about all 4 of those, and then after that, I'll tell you the ones which I think are more likely than all the other ones. But before I can do that, I want to give credit to where I'm actually getting this footage from. And this is actually from NoahJ456, and yes, I'm aware he glitched for it, but I do want to respect, since this is his footage, I will not be playing the outro in its entirety at any point in this video. So if you guys haven't seen it, then I'll link it down in the description if you guys are interested in that, but I imagine at this point most of you guys have already watched it. But anyways, with all that out of the way, let's actually jump into all of this. So the first idea I wanted to share with you guys that I honestly don't think is too likely, that somehow this Primus Richtofen is in this outro, is that the Richtofen that we saw in the Blood of the Dead outro die is this exact same Richtofen, and the reason he's now here is because he never died, or that he came back to life. Now, the reason I don't like it all that much is because what proof? Excuse me, I need some proof for you thinking that, because it just doesn't seem very likely. We're pretty sure he died in that outro cutscene, and even if they do plan to bring him back to life, or that Richtofen, I want to be very clear with my words, if they plan to bring back that Richtofen, I honestly don't think they would do it that fast. I mean, it just doesn't seem like a really good idea from a storyline telling perspective, but I don't know, it could be the case, but it just does not seem that likely to me and many others. Anyways, the next one, and this one seems a bit more likely, but I'm a little doubtful of this one, but this is that this Richtofen, this Primus Richtofen that we see in this outro, is actually the Great War Richtofen that we saw in the outro to Blood of the Dead. Of course, not the one that died, the one who took the Blood Vials, destroyed them, and the summoning key, but of course it's that Great War Richtofen, except now he changed his clothes. Now this one doesn't really sound like a problem because, I mean, obviously he could easily change your clothes. Changing your clothes isn't very difficult. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but the ability to take off the clothes you are currently wearing and swap it for different ones is not that difficult. But the reason I'm a little doubtful of this idea for him swapping his Great War clothes for his Origins clothes is that, I mean, why would he be in his Great War clothes in the outro to Blood of the Dead, but all of a sudden just swap back to his Origins clothes in the classified outro? I mean, it just doesn't seem very likely to me. I don't know, it just wouldn't make sense that for some reason they would have him in one set of clothes inside one outro and all of a sudden they swap it back. I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me personally. That's the reason why I'm kind of doubtful for that idea also. Then the next one, this is honestly the one I think is the most likely, but it's not my favorite theory, which is kind of unfortunate, but at the same time I think this one is the most likely. But regardless, this idea is that the Richtofen inside this outro cutscene to Classified is actually the Richtofen in the intro to Blood of the Dead. And of course I'm not talking about the one who went on to die, but the one who went and teleported away, and of course the one that Richtofen called a son of a bee and all that stuff, because you have to remember that guy would normally, or that Richtofen would normally go and just go to Morgue City, then go on this whole thing, but now he's at the New Chronorium and he's probably saying, hey, I don't want to get stuck in this whole Alcatraz pocket dimension and having to die, so he probably took off to do his own thing instead, and he probably avoided this whole Blood of the Dead thing and kind of didn't want to be a part of it, but probably followed some other path that he read inside the Chronorium, or that Nikolai told him about and they met up and something like that. And this one I again think is the most likely, and the reason I think it is very likely is because one thing that I think is very important in all this, and the reason these are the two major things, is that you see this Primus Richtofen, he does not have the blood vials, nor did the Richtofen in the intro to Blood of the Dead. And at the same time, we see that Nikolai seems like he's the one in charge now instead of Richtofen. And at this point, Nikolai has read the Chronorium. He probably went and picked up that Richtofen again. And now they're kind of following Nikolai now. So this is the reason why I think this one's most likely. But I wanted to save my favorite one for last. Even though I don't think it's the most likely one, I still love this theory so much. And I can't take any credit for this one at all. This is one I didn't even think of. But this is actually from Nixaris. He came up with this theory in his video, and the only problem I had with his video that he said it was explained, like the outro explained, even though that's kind of a theory and not explaining, but regardless, it's still a really, really cool theory. And this idea is that this Primus crew that we see inside this outro to Classified is actually not going to be a part of this Blood of the Dead thing at all. In fact, Blood of the Dead, they never even experienced that at all, because the Primus crew we're seeing right here is the Primus crew we played through inside Black Ops 3, and they were just teleported from Revelations. And what happened is that they didn't go straight to the Great War. Instead, what they did, they went on their own little mission before going back to the Great War when Dr. Monty teleported them in Revelations, and instead they went and recruited Ultimus to go fight in the other Great War. And that may sound a little confusing at first, but then I want to draw your attention to the timeline or the Zombies Chronicles timeline. You have to be very specific about the timelines you're talking about nowadays, but regardless, in the Zombies Chronicles timeline, you could actually see that Primus is for some reason teleported to two Great Wars at the exact same time. They're teleported to the Great War in Dimension 63, and they're also teleported to the Great War inside the original timeline. And that's kind of a problem, because how can you split into two and stuff like that? But the idea is that they didn't go to both Great Wars. Instead, they went to their original Dimension 63, where the universe they're from. They fought in their Great War. But the Great War in the original timeline, what they did is that they recruited Ultimus to go fight in that Great War while they fought in their own Great War. So they're two separate Great Wars with two different sets of our crews fighting them, because this is the idea that Ultimus went back in time, and after, of course, Primus recruited them, they went back in time to actually go fight in their universe's Great War, and Primus was sent back in time to fight their universe's Great War, which is a really, really cool idea. And it also plays on this idea that right at the end of the cutscene, what did Nikolai say? That they're going to go fight in the Great War. So it kind of makes sense after hearing all that. But the reason I do not just want to, I'm not just really believing this theory, is because Nikolai is the one who seems like he's in charge. And maybe this is just a smaller thing, it's something to be ignored, but it kind of doesn't seem that likely to me, because why would you see inside the Blood of the Dead outro that Nikolai now reads the Chronorium, he's the one with the knowledge, and now all of a sudden he's in charge, even though he hasn't read the Chronorium in that timeline, and for some reason he's in charge still, even though it looked like he just took charge in Blood of the Dead? It just doesn't make sense to me at all, and that's the main problem I have with it. Besides that, it makes perfect sense. It checks out with everything else that we have, because it would make sense why Richtofen is still wearing his Origins clothes. It would make sense why Richtofen doesn't have his blood vials, or none of the characters have their blood vials. But at the same time, come and think of it, they only drank one blood vial inside the outro or inside Revelations. So, I mean, shouldn't they still have their blood vials? So that's another problem, that they should at least have one blood vial, or at least we don't have information of them using both of their blood vials. So, I mean, there's a lot of problems with this theory, or those are the two major problems with it, and the reason why I find it kind of hard to believe, even though I want to believe it so bad, because that idea of them splitting into two and going to two different Great Wars, it's been bugging me for so long, like, how is that possible? And this would be an explanation for it. Of course, there's another explanation for it that I actually want to talk about in a future video. Hopefully I get the chance to, but regardless, this would be a set in stone explanation for it it, but it just doesn't seem likely to me. And that's the reason why I'm leaning towards, at least with the information we currently have, that the most likely scenario is that this Richtofen that we see in this outro to Classified is the Richtofen we saw in the intro to Blood of the Dead. Of course, the one who was not trapped inside Blood of the Dead, but the one who left. It just makes the most sense, again, currently with the information that we have. But if more information arises, maybe there's something new that we're not even considering here, or maybe one of these other theories are right and there's just more information that we need to be revealed that we actually can confirm one of these other theories. But again, all these theories can be correct. It's just that we're waiting for more information to actually confirm one of these theories, because again, we're just sitting on these, just trying to figure out what's going on. But I would love to hear what you guys think about all of these different theories. Which one do you think is more likely, or do you have a theory of your own that may explain which Richtofen we're dealing with here, or when he's from, where he's from, and all that good stuff? I'd love to hear it down in the comments. But that's about it for me. And actually, I want to say this real quick for all my subscribers, because for these last few days I haven't been live streaming, uploading videos, and that's because I've been sick for these last few days. And in fact, in this video I'm still kind of sick, but it's just like, I don't think you guys should hear it. I mean, I could feel it in my face because it's kind of annoying, but regardless, you guys shouldn't have heard it. But that's just the reason why I just wanted to mention that from the loyal subscribers who actually care about that. But anyways, that's about it for me. If you guys did enjoy this video, go ahead, do all the normal YouTube stuff, like, subscribe, bell, share, and especially bell. But I'm going to go, and I'll catch you guys in the next stream or video.